Hi, my name is Samantha and welcome to the Amoretti Test Kitchen. Today I am so excited to be showing you how to make one of my all-time favorite cookies, the Italian rainbow cookies. I'm going to be using our almond paste as well as our natural almond extract in these. It is so good. The flavor of the almond comes through perfectly. These are great for any occasion, though I've always made them as Christmas cookies. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is prep our baking sheets. I'm gonna be using 9 by 13 inch baking sheets, so quarter size, and we are going to spray them down with whatever cooking spray you wanna use, and then line them with parchment paper. The reason you wanna grease them first is so that the parchment paper doesn't move around when you're ready to spread your cookie layers on to the baking sheet. You're going to want your parchment paper to be a little bit oversized for your baking sheet. That way you have something to hold on to get your cookies out of the pan. So I'm going to cut some slits in the side of this so that way we can fold our paper in and it doesn't get in the way. You're just going to want to repeat this step for all 3 of your baking sheets. Okay, so the first step in making our batter, we are going to mix together our sugar, our butter, and our almond paste. I like to start off with just 1 stick of butter and our sugar and almond paste. I find that it helps break down the almond paste and avoids getting clumpy. We're gonna use 8 ounces of almond paste, so about half of this container. I like to add the almond paste in little bits at a time. That way it also helps avoid that clumpiness that can happen in your batter when you're using almond paste. This almond paste is great because it has the highest percentage of almonds and lowest concentration of sugar on the market. You can really tell the quality difference between this and your average store-bought almond paste because it's a lot less oily and the almond smell just amazing. So now we're gonna mix this until it is completely smooth and combined, starting on low and then moving towards medium. So as you can see, we now have a smooth paste and we can now add in the rest of our butter. So now we are just going to continue mixing until everything is nice and smooth. Now that everything is nice and smooth, we are going to add in our egg yolks. When you're separating your eggs, make sure to keep your egg whites because we are going to use those in the recipe as well. So we're gonna start mixing on low and then slowly add in our 4 egg yolks. We are now going to add in our milk. It is time to add the almond extract. I am using our natural almond extract, meaning that there are no artificial flavors, just almonds. Seriously, if you are a fan of almond desserts, you have got to try this recipe. That smells amazing. We are now going to add in our flour and then mix until combined. Now that everything is combined, we are going to set this aside and move on to our next step. We are going to whip up our egg whites using a hand mixer. You're going to want to mix these up until stiff peaks form. Now we are going to fold our egg whites into our batter. Now that our batter is completely done, we are going to divide it equally between 3 different bowls. Now you can eyeball it, you can use a measuring scoop. If you want to get really precise, you can use a kitchen scale. I'm just going to use a measuring scoop. Now we are going to color our different layers. You're going to need red and green food coloring, and then one is just going to stay white. And now we mix. Now that we have all of our colors done, we are going to spread them out flat in the baking sheets that we lined. We are going to be using an offset spatula to smooth this layer out evenly. You're going to want to spread this as even as you possibly can, because once it's done baking, we are going to spread a very thin layer of jam. And if it's uneven, there might be some pockets that are pretty jammy. Now we're just going to do this for the other 2 layers. So this is why we greased our pan before we set the parchment paper in. That way it doesn't shift around while we're spreading these layers thin. So now we have all 3 layers done and we're ready to stick them in the oven. We're going to stick this in the oven at 325 for about 10 to 12 minutes, and you're going to want to rotate them halfway through. These layers are very thin and cook very quickly, so be sure to keep an eye on them. Now let's get them in the oven. So we have taken our cookie layers out of the oven and let them cool completely to the touch. So now we are going to assemble our cookies. We are going to start by spreading 1/4 of a cup of jam on top of your green layer. I'm using a seedless raspberry jam. Seedless jam is the best because it keeps the soft texture of the cookie. If you can't find any seedless jam, you can always run your regular raspberry jam through a fine sieve. We're using a very small amount of jam in this. We don't want it to be thick because then your layers will slide around on each other. We just want enough so that the layers soak in that flavor and they're all held together almost like a glue. So now that we have a very thin layer of jam spread out on our green layer, we are going to take our white layer and very carefully flip it on top of our green layer. Beautiful. So now we are just going to repeat that same step and put another 1/4 of a cup of jam, spread it evenly on top of the white layer, and we'll flip the red layer on top. I have covered our layers in plastic wrap, so now we're going to stick it in the fridge for about 4 hours and let it set. But first, we're going to weight it down. So just grab another baking sheet of the same size and stick it on like so. Now you can put anything that you have on hand on top of it that's heavy enough, like plates, books, cans work well, and then you're gonna stick it in the fridge for all of these layers to solidify together. It has been about 4 hours and our layers are completely solidified and set. So now what we're gonna do is do a top layer of chocolate. I'm using semi-sweet chocolate chips, and we're gonna microwave this in bursts of about 15 seconds, and we're just gonna spread a thin layer on the top. So our chocolate is now completely melted. We're just gonna spread a thin layer on the top. You could leave it as is, but I like to make a fun little design in the chocolate using a fork. So now all you have to do is pop this in the fridge again for about 30 minutes for the chocolate to set. Then you can either repeat this same step on the bottom layer. I don't usually do that because I love the balance of chocolate and almond flavor that this gives you just as it is, but some people like to add a little bit of extra chocolate, which is fine. After the chocolate sets, you can go ahead and cut it up into squares. You're going to want to trim off the outer layer and then cut them into about 1-inch squares. So let's pop it in the fridge. So now our Italian rainbow cookies are finished. I always grew up with these cookies being a holiday treat, but you can enjoy them year-round. They are too good not to. Let's try one. So good. I hope you try this recipe out with your family and let us know in the comment section how much you love it. Be sure to subscribe and follow us as @Amoretti on our other socials: Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Bye for now.